Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RashInvestor.co's. This is our weekend offering, our broiler chicken show. Gonna have a little fun today, and actually, I wanted to start off kind of a fun treat. I'm a sentimentalist at heart, and somebody actually had reached out to me. They had told me that I had made such an incredible impact on both them and their relationship with the person that they were having. So I wanted to start off with a real quick one. This goes out to you, my friend, on your day. Happy birthday, Lulu. Another year spent with you. Soon I'll be home to kids again. Smell you. Birthday boy, you're us too. It's what makes me love you. Can't wait till the day when we say I'm you. Know I'm grateful for you and proud of you too. You master your craft, only done by a few. For your birthday, Kevy Poo, Brian sings this song for you. His voice sounds terrible. Let's hope his teaching isn't that too. This song comes to an end. One last message we'll extend. From deep in our hearts, we know knowing you. But wait, there's one more! Happy birthday, Lulu. All the crypto for you. But be sure to take profits before you get screwed. Woo! Happy birthday, Kevin! Woo! Happy birthday. Happy birthday. There you go, Slick. That's just for you. All the best. And I could actually give you that video if you want to keep that for sentimental reasons. But anyway, Kevin's our birthday boy, and I wanted to extend him a nice birthday gift. So happy birthday, dude. Okay, let's now everybody's going, okay, what the hell was that? Let's get on with broiling some chickens. Level oneers had a fantastic session this morning. I wasn't able to participate yesterday, but popped in and helped Grim out to a little bit, I hope, in answering a really tough module. The first week of the strategic planning. Axel, what did you think? You know, having to learn about demographics and money flows and stuff like that. Did you love that action? It's yeah, it's a bit overwhelming, and we are right in the actual cycle apex. So this is really tough because it's going to be hard to see sort of the forest through the trees. When I remember, you know, through the .com days, we had analysts coming on CNBC on a daily basis telling us to keep buying these .com stocks, that the market was never going to go down. And if you listen to them, it's like, oh, Jesus, well, I guess I better just keep buying the Nortel networks. You guys are all going to learn in a level one, you're going to learn the story of Nortel networks and Google Nortel networks. See what happened to that company. It's real tragedy, really. And at one point in the .com boom, that one company represented 35% of the Canadian stock market. One company. And that's crazy. So, you know, and the problem, of course, is that, you know, you can't see the forest through the trees. The director of the company comes on, the president comes on and says, I'm getting out. I've had enough, man. I want out. Get me out. And everybody on CNBC makes fun of him and says, well, growth is never going to end. You know, the internet's is endless, right? Well, geez. And the interesting thing is that was a cycle pivot. But you didn't actually see the cycle pivot until after the market broke. And we had to go through a recession. And then, this little guy, George Bush Jr., was elected president of the United States. And all of a sudden, this war just all of a sudden just developed in the Middle East that sort of engulfed our whole society for like the past like 20 years. Obviously there's a lot more to that story than just, saying one statement like that. But the point is that the world can change dramatically. It does. It often takes a few years to go through these pivots. And I remember going through that pivot. It took years to, see it. And especially, now that you've taken the course, you're going to see this stuff for the rest of your lives. So it's going to be something like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You're going to be like, I remember that crazy Canuck guy. He was always talking about the pivot. And oh, yeah, look at that. The whole damn thing pivoted then. Actually, it was really cool for the level oneers. We also saw one of the students found the Thomas Lee video. And if you actually go through, he breaks down all the demographics and the money flows and stuff. And the point that I think that we should understand here is the millennials are the next growth cycle. They are that next demographic that's going to come in and exert itself on the economy. And really, we should expect the economy now to grow for the next 10, 15 years. And that's actually going to be very hard. I don't think many of you actually remember what a growth economy actually looks like. We haven't lived in a growth economy in a long, long time. It's been, especially since the financial asset crisis, it's actually been a holy fuck, we got to just do whatever we can to keep this damn thing going kind of economy. So anyway, a little bit of a rant there to start. And actually, I just wanted to maybe take a look at a couple images here before we get going to try and help the level oneers. I invited them specifically on at the end of their class. So I thought maybe there was a couple things that kind of needed to be verbalized a little bit further that I saw people were talking about in the class. So, the first message, and it's tough to see because the question ultimately is how much of an influence on this fear cycle has Bitcoin had? In classic markets, basically this green line's the US dollar index. Think of it as sort of like the vote of confidence in the fiat currency system. If the US dollar index is going up, then that means that there's actually a fear in the market, and inflated assets like gold, because keep in mind, gold's an inflation proxy. If the US dollar starts bottoming and starts heading higher, it actually generally means that the world economies are shrinking. And so as a result, you see that the gold priced in US dollars, not only is it a proxy on inflation, it also is priced in US dollars. So if gold just stays completely the same, regardless of inflation, deflation pressures, if the US dollar index is moving up, then gold price has to come down. More importantly, though, the longer term trends, right? In this period, we had a very strong US dollar index. And you can clearly see we had a very weak gold market. Now, as you can see, we had a very rounded top that came in on the US dollar. And fascinatingly, basically, the top came in literally the day the current Republican US president was elected and took office. And that's actually very business as usual. That's exactly what Republican presidents usually do. They like a weak US dollar, which means exports, think of Boeing jets being sold around the world, right? They become more competitively priced, so Boeing makes more sales. They hire more workers because they're more profitable, and of course that buys votes. That's sort of what they call sort of like the trickle-down economics effect. Does trickle-down economics actually work? That's another conversation altogether. As well, too, in the exact opposite effect, when the US dollar is going down, commodity prices generally go up. And again, think of it not so much that the commodity itself changes, but the commodity is priced in US dollars. So if the US dollar index is going down, then the commodity price, if just to stay exactly the same, has to go up. And in normal circumstances, you can see how volatile this is. There was a major disconnect here. Something went wrong. This gold market should have taken off like a rocket with the US dollar crapping out. And so here is our sort of our conundrum. And this is interesting because I think scholars will be talking about this decades down the road. I really do believe it. This is a conundrum in that, did this thing called cryptocurrency come along and basically eat gold's lunch? And, it's interesting. I used to do this study with the Dubs, which is a commodity index. And I noticed that all of a sudden it mysteriously disappeared. And I'm wondering whether these commodity indexes that will, the commodity prices themselves should do exactly the same thing as gold. When they reissue these commodity indexes, they'll have Bitcoin in the index, and you'll see that those commodity indexes actually reflected this. So there's a little bit of a problem here with our sort of long-term demographic sentiment indicators, that Brian's always, well, and you have to understand that Brian is a product of last century. I mean, I'm like, approaching 50 years old now. Well, I thought I had it just in here. It doesn't look like it. You're going to be in here somewhere. Oh, fudge. Bear with me here a second. This is, if anything, what I really like about this is, I think, this is the 20th century here. And a lot of sort of the metrics that we use to try and understand how the financial systems work through the 20th century are summed up in this picture. And everything, equal, we know, of course, the dilution of the currency base, the purchasing power of the US dollar is like, 1% of the purchasing power that it had back in when they started the US Federal Reserve. So we know generally that this should be trending higher anyway. The question ultimately was, what was our ultimate sort of fear proxy apex? Was it sort of, was it a 2-to-1 kind of idea, 3-to-1? Was it a 1-to-1? 1980, that was that ultimate gold peak. And it was interesting. I was seeing, the conversation in the level oneers right now. What was our cycle peak for this fear greed idea? And this is this image in real time. Right there. So, and interestingly enough, right, you can see that this ratio was coming down, and all of a sudden, like we said, this ratio had gold sort of done its normal thing, and Bitcoin wasn't around. My hunch is this ratio would have come down and tested these lows. I think that was what was supposed to happen given that sort of static world. But, and actually I heard this in Grimm's class today, and I thought this was an excellent statement, is, we as market participants, we need to have very strong beliefs, but they need to be loosely held. And we need to understand that, maybe there's something else going on here that might not cause like our textbook gold Dow ratio pivot. And when I look at this image, it speaks volumes to me. I mean, as I said a moment ago, in every classic commodity scenario, this double top in the US dollar index, just like this UN double bottom in the US dollar index, it should have precipitated a substantial, and then it can, straight line continuation, should have precipitated a dramatic move into the gold market. And I make the argument that, of course, this is why, a lot of the gold bugs are so angry with Bitcoiners right now, is that literally something else took up all that buying interest. And I think that it's a fascinating story in that we may have to change our thinking here and not use just a straight gold proxy, but, use a commodity index. And what would be really cool, and you guys might want to think about this going forward, is how do we sort of merge these two markets together and create some sort of index that is, gold was this 20th century's store of value proxy. And now I think we have a new kid on the block that really wants to try and take this store of value story seriously. So I wanted to speak to that. I thought, and hopefully, Grim, what do you think? Was that kind of a bit of helpful additional information for them to think about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that gives them some good context for what we were talking about. This was a major topic of discussion, so thank you for.
And don't get me wrong, guys. These are like fucking long-term geopolitical moves here, right? I mean, this is serious economics we're getting into here. So, you know, if you can't master it in a week, don't sweat it, you know? Some people spend their whole bloody lives studying this shit. So anyway, you know, speaking to interesting sort of parallels with history, this was, you know, these cycles, I mean, this is a whole century, right? This is a long time. You know, this cycle through here, I remember specifically, we had like, I remember watching TV and watching Jimmy Carter just totally depressed and sitting in the White House, nothing he could do, as Americans were being paraded around downtown Tehran. I remember that specifically. It was a very, very depressing time. And then, of course, I remember specifically here, crazy little girls coming on with just insane price objectives for some of these tech stocks through the dot-com boom. You couldn't lose money. I mean, you literally couldn't lose money. But the interesting thing is it took time to get through this. I mean, you had to actually have a president leave and a new president show up and, you know, like new fandangled tax policies, you know, and what George Bush likes to call voodoo economics. This whole sort of, I was talking about a moment ago, trickle down economics. And then, of course, remember here, you know, actual companies of, you know, a company represents 35% of the Canadian stock market. And the company president being ridiculed for saying, I want to take profits and get out. I mean, just polar opposites. And it took time to go through these transitional windows. I don't know what this fierce apex looks like. Could the 2008 financial crisis be this cycle's ultimate pivot? It's possible. I don't think it's unrealistic. I like to use these 17.5-year cycles as more of like, you know, again, think of like the forest through the trees. We're not trying to pick tops or bottoms. The market will pivot exactly this day at this. That's not the purpose of these studies. The purpose of these studies is just to try and stand back and see the big picture. Okay, so a little bit of rhetoric, and hopefully it helps a little the level oneers. And trust me, guys, this is big stuff we're trying to, you know, cover here in a very short period of time. Could Bitcoin be this particular asset cycle's fear proxy apex, and did it act like gold and silver did through their sort of heyday, 1980? There's a hell of a lot of similarities, I'll tell you that much, by crackers. I also have on here too, and I'm going to keep an eye on this. I really do like Shane's thinking of sort of a 2013 style correction in Bitcoin price rather than the long drawn out 2014-15 bottom. Well, we'll see how it goes, but I wouldn't mind just keeping this on the radar screen. And also, too, I'm going to watch and see how Bitcoin acts relative to gold and silver's 1980 study. I think that's important information to keep an eye on going forward here. And, you know, if anything, what I would like to see, which would be logical here, is a nice counter trend rally back up into reload zones, especially a similar move like we had on the gold. And seasonally, we're ripe, you know, for a nice counter trend rally. I feel like, you know, it's interesting to watch the price action off of here. I don't know whether I'm ready to call a bottom here yet, though. I'd like to see at least a little bit more constructive action. And when we look at some of the lower time frame charts, I think you understand what I mean. But you know, I do believe that we could very easily work our way up, back up into these reload short zones here over the not too distant future. It's just we're going to have to see some serious resolution here. All right, so those are some things I was just thinking about. Short term, you guys have seen me talking about these charts at length in the daily brief, so I don't think anything here should be new. I'm thinking we're in sort of this zone. We've got the 5-to-1, that's the red Gann angle, and the 8-to-1. I think they sort of define our upper and lower ranges, and you can see a fib off of this entire range. 38.2, and then a stab all the way up to 50% of this range would take us up into 8,400. Thinking, 8,100. So maybe a nice little stab up into that 8,000 area. Kiss it from the other side. Remember how CNBC was talking about 8,000 forever there. We are coming up on a speed bump, so that'd be interesting. You can see following this speed bump, the bearish resolution, whoosh, right? So, maybe we put in some sort of bottom here, and then through the speed bump, we get a lot of herky-jerky. We really should try and refrain from any trend directional signals going through the speed bump. So that means we've got 1, 2, probably 3 days, and if anything, that kind of makes sense, right? Because that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and of course we talk about Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zones. So maybe that sets up some sort of ultimate pivot test of this 8-to-1 coming into the speed bump, and then we might get some really wild action through the speed bump. So if anything, what I'm thinking here is, this is just a V bottom off the lows. I wonder if we drill down to a lower time frame, we do a fib off of this high back down to the lows, reload zones are going to set up off of a test of this 8-to-1 again. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So thinking uppy, but the problem is that this is straight up. I had actually shown, I think, on where was it? It's around here somewhere. Here it is. Off of this is the daily MEX chart. I thought it was interesting, very cliche test of the reload zone. We came down, and I remember when we put in these 2 bars, I was like, well, okay, maybe this is a potential. I was thinking railroad tracks to begin with, but then we went up a little too high. Then we put in this inside bar the next day, which I was thinking set up a fractal top, or this actually becomes a fractal bottom, whichever way this resolves. So you can see the next day it resolved bullishly. We had this bullish divergence in MACD working, and Willie was stupid. And I don't know whether Dav would like this or not, but we have a bit of a W there in Willie and a bit of a W in OBV. So on balance, 50% retracement, if you just took the fractal itself, it's basically a 2-to-1, and all that really is a test of the underside of this trend line, maybe up and through here, and a return to the POC. But at the same time too, interesting how this is all sort of open here. So could we have like a pullback to come and maybe test this trend line, really test the resolve of the bull, maybe just get sort of like a 1 or 2 day FU into that Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zone, and give them a really sexy little buying window here. So I think I myself am, I didn't feel comfortable about this trade. And also there was another one that I was watching pretty closely, but I wasn't able to get in on it. I just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger, which kind of pisses me off. I hate when I'm in these kind of mental states. And I think it has a lot to do with, is the site going to get the new website up and running and all that kind of crap. And, the company itself are reorganizing it. So, but I've been sort of talking about this OMG setup for a while now. You can see W, just like that Bitcoin, right? W in Willie, W in OBV, and look at this beautiful 2-bar reversal right off that level. And I'm a little disappointed in myself. I should have pulled the trigger here. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe a little bit. I'm going to have to get in touch with my journal. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I think I have to write out what it is that's holding me back from committing to my plan, because I even talked about this setup. Okay, so point of the matter here is you can see off of some of these charts, setups are actually coming in, right? So, the question ultimately is, do you trade El Tango Naders? There's one on Bitcoin, and I showed you one on OMG there. I do like the idea, I'll tell you though, when I drilled down to the lower time frames, well, actually, why don't we do OK Coin? 33. It's probably, I've got this bot idea fixated on my mind. Maybe that's why I'm reluctant to go on the long side. That could be it. But it is interesting. This high-low trend line has become extremely important here. Interesting trend line action here too. Create a bit of a wedge. You can see the double top that's forming. I was wondering, when we were down here, I even drew my, squiggly line theory. I kind of felt like we needed to do some action up here to fill the profile up top. Is this enough? I don't think so. If anything, you see where the 25 is off this massive bot. It's way down here. So that means I think we could, if we lose this apex here, we could very easily come down to this trend line. No problem whatsoever. And, we should probably adjust this now for here. That sort of Tuesday, Wednesday kill zone kind of thesis test of the lows to give them a buying window. I think that would be like right in this area here. I like that idea. So I don't know, man. I'm torn right now between the bull and the bear. It's a tough one. And also too, when I look at my higher time frames, I've been squawking to you guys about, actually, I think I like this one better. I've been squawking to you guys about the institutional bias, right? So here we are, 9-period EMA represented resistance. The sort of bullish resolution, remember we drew these sort of bull-bear battle lines. You can really see it. Actually, I probably would want to go off of that high there. But really good example on the daily chart of the bull-bear battle lines. The bull won the battle. It's moving up. It ran into 30 SMA resistance now. And I would actually call this a moving average sandwich. So I think price is actually going to be contained in the, in and around this, especially this creating like a doji candle here now. The day's still young. It's only 11 o'clock. So, we'll probably see a lot more action here through the day. But, as I showed you off that hourly chart, I really do like the idea of hunting RLZs. And, it's, maybe you even, if you're thinking long, be, really focusing in on these candle body lows. But I do see how these candle body lows, these two right here, seem to line up nicely with the top of the RLZ. So you get a nice stab in against this level here. I think that's probably your buying window. And, the 9 EMA on the daily here probably corresponds with that hourly trend line kind of idea. I think it was this one, wasn't it? Yeah. So stab into, and notice too, that's 38.2. So I think we can make a pretty good argument that you might see some nice action. Does it happen today? Good old Bitcoin, it might happen the next hour. But definitely, I could definitely see a tag of 38.2. That's, what is that, 75 area. Call it 7,600 here on these OK Coin forwards. If we look at something like MEX, almost looks to me like we've hit a yeah, so there's 38.2 there. So that's 75.19 on MEX. Look at that juicy tail there. I wouldn't be surprised if that's like a reload window. Keep in mind, there's a lot of trap bears there, right? So if price comes down into this tail, and you could argue off of these two tails as well. But I really love when I see these like opened up below these highs. started to head lower. So these guys, this is it, short it, right? So they're all short. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the fucking rally market just takes off like a rocket. So this level right here is huge, So if you want to focus in your efforts, try and identify these windows right here, because that's a whole bunch of trapped bears right now. So if price can come back down into here, they'll be like, okay, just what are they? They're short, so buy them back, right? Which will push price back up. So and that makes sense too, right? There's the POC, there's 38.2. So I think it's perfectly realistic to look for a stab into this area. Do you actually trade this? Meh, the way they've set price up here, and it doesn't shock me whatsoever, is they've got this now as sort of a window of vulnerability. You could argue there's a whole bunch of trapped bulls up in this candle. And so price can come up into here and they're like, okay, fine, just get me out, right? And that knocks price back down. So, these highs could be very vulnerable in here. These lows could be very vulnerable. I would almost argue it's like a coin toss. This has got choppy written all over it. So I don't know whether it's really going to set up a trade for me. If anything, probably I would like to see how, and this is our Ray barbecue, Ray Burchette thinking. I'd really actually like to see how this 38.2 resolves itself now. My hunch is, and of course it's just opinion, right? Something like this. And then we'll find out, if we W, then woohoo, away we go. Or if we M, woohoo, down we go. My hunch is it's probably going to be a bit of a fight in here for the next while. So we'll see how that goes. See how they kind of had to do that here, side by side, dump, and then back up. So I wouldn't be surprised, sideways, chompy, maybe even run the stops just to piss people off. But really, we can't really decide where we go from here until we have this 38.2 test. Momentum's looking a little heavy up top here. I mean, I don't think it would be a really good idea to be hunting long setups here. The 4 hour is a really interesting scenario. Like I said, really trapped in this moving average sandwich here. And so probably, and actually I was a bit surprised. I mean, if anything, I really like Julian's resolve. Very professional. That's the one thing I absolutely love about Julian. He's extremely professional. And he was working stops against these highs here on shorts. And that's fine. The model was saying, hey, this is looking heavy. So on this event, he exited his shorts. And, I didn't hear any talk of revenge trading or anything like that. You can imagine a lot of sort of revenge traders were like, fuck it, man, this is the top, short it, right? But I didn't hear anything about him. And sure enough, boom, they just went, embarrassed all those short top callers there. And I guess, like I did this market symmetry study. I was expecting one more dump here. But market didn't really want to have anything of it. So again, this is sort of, it's leading me to believe that at the very least, if you're a bear, you have to wait for the POC to be tested and 38.2s to be tested. If this is a top, then we'll probably carve out something like a head and shoulders here. You can kind of see left shoulder, head, right shoulder, neckline, right shoulder, and then break. And I am really liking the idea, especially, below value, into the original bottom against all these tails, blow out these stops in here. I love the idea of a nice like Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zone long setup off of, say, 7,200 here. I think that would be something that all of us should keep our eyes peeled for. Right there here. And can I actually go and buy this here? I can't. It's so painful, but I just can't. It sucks. But this is a horrible trade location to be a buyer. And 4 hour, little concerned about RSI putting in a little M up top here. That's kind of a little concerning. So we'll see how this develops. You know, me and my sort of double M kind of theory. It was interesting how they brought it right back down against this primary trend line, and they just didn't want to M this thing out here. That actually, you know, and you could argue that this M here was trying to goad people into the short side off of there. They broke the top of that, right, all through this fight. You know, where you draw that, you know, do you actually draw that as support? That's a tough one. But you can see real battle through here. I mean, just battle, 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 battle. And it was interesting because Julian was even saying, man, my RSI is giving me headaches right now. And I can see why, man. This is a grind. This is very, very tough chop, chop, chop. You know, Brian, I love when I get a 1M that comes in and then another M that comes in while the first M is still active. And we sort of kind of almost got that here. And it was interesting because I was even talking with somebody, the price had dumped into here. And then this next candle, everything just stopped on a dime. And hopefully everybody can see, you know, candle pattern wise, this is basically an inside bar. So ironically enough, the tick up through the high here, that's actually a buy signal right there. So, you know, very difficult for the RSIers, no doubt about it. Also too, this is an interesting, this is sort of like trader commentary. I remember when I used to oh, somebody's at the door. Actually, everybody hold that thought. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's funny. That was my poor next door neighbors. I live in a special complex because my son has special needs. And some of these people are a little bit challenged, and we all got a form from the bureaucracy today. And he was like, "What's this form? I don't understand." So when I'm done here, I'm going to go help him try and understand what this form is trying to tell us. Okay, where were we? Once upon a time in a land far, far away. Hey, there's Seward. Hey, Seward. Nice to see you, buddy. How's the little one? Hopefully doing well. So, you know, can we go and buy Bitcoins here right now? I don't think so. If you do want to be a buyer, let's watch for that sort of Tuesday, Wednesday London kill zone dip against our lows here. See if we get a nice little treat on the buy side here. You know, it's interesting that we were commenting about Bitcoin mostly here. And you sort of see our sort of playground here GAN-wise. It was interesting to see how Ethereum, I guess the EOS thing wasn't as bad as people were expecting. I don't know what the fundamentals were. But you know, railroad track reversal, very powerful. Actually, Stuart, I was just talking about your coin earlier. I think I failed to step up when I should have been a buyer on your coin, but go back and watch the video. We already got lots of it, by the way. We probably have way too much of it anyway, but okay, back to our story. So I'm not quite sure what happened, but when I woke up this morning, Ethereum was rocking and rolling. I have seen repeatedly Ethereum loves to do this. And I remember when we first started watching Ethereum like years ago. And it's, you know, it's probably not a bad reference for you to keep out of the back of your mind. Like I've seen this so much, but I think the original bottom was sort of the same thing. Yeah. maybe isn't the best example. But I remember when the market bottomed here. And I don't know whether you can see it, but I remember this specifically. We had a site member who actually called this sort of bottom, if you will. It's probably not the best example. Maybe I did it off a previous high. Yeah. Anyway, we'll work with this. But what I've found with Ethereum is it likes to jump up to like 38.2s and then consolidate for a bit. Maybe it was versus USD that it did this. I don't know. And then move higher. And often you get these sort of jumps right off of the lows, and everybody looks back and goes, okay, well, if it ever goes back down there, I'll totally buy it. And they work their bids down here. And of course, the price never does come back down there. I see that. I've seen Ethereum do this so many times. So if we saw Ethereum do that, it wouldn't shock me hugely. And I was posting in the lounge. I think I did a few off of here. Let's see. Yeah. So here you can see, dead cat bounce off its lows, consolidation at 38.2 to 50%, forever, right? And then finally moves higher. Then we did another one. This I didn't go all the way off of here. I just went down to this low. I suppose we could adjust that. But I was interested to see how, and I suppose we could even, go off of even really that high. 38.2, 50%, sort of consolidate, and then go, right? Not come back down to the lows. I mean, I just did these as a couple examples for you. So, I just threw on of this range, what is the 38.2 to 50%? And I thought it was really interesting. First thing this morning, you can see they sort of took her right up into that sort of 38.2. Is that it? Is it done? I don't think so. Usually these things have a bit of inertia. And probably if we do this is probably going to blow this chart up, but let's see what happens. We'll go auto scale. All right. So if we go something along the lines of, I don't know whether we want to go off of there or we go there, something in that neighborhood, there to there, and then clone that up there, something in that area. So you can see that harmonically, we sort of slammed into a level there, right? And actually, this is so cool, right? Because, we call this a potential reversal zone, PRZ. And, as price, if you had played bots or whatever, and I saw a lot of people in the lounge posting bot setups. So rock on. I mean, take advantage of this. As I had said, I fucked up OMG. I was watching this off the higher time frames. I could have easily seen a nice little, consolidation in here to take that trade, and you can see how it popped. But are we maybe getting to the end of that move in the short term? Interesting how she actually went and formed the most beautiful double top up here, right? And look at that, even just nasty. You can see they opened up this candle. Oh yeah, we're a bull. Got a whole bunch of trap bulls up there and slam, right? Just bury them. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there's, tests of candle body highs, that kind of thing. There might be a half decent trade idea up in here if you're so motivated. But you can see the double top here. Just that alone is enough probably to put it and give anybody pause. And if we do a good old reload zone, probably 38.2 is probably a natural first stop kind of idea. So that's going to simply bring us back down against these original highs, wash out all of these weak hand stops and all these lows in here, all these trapped, bears are going to get released. There's that 38.2. So 582 if you're an Ethereum aficionado. You got about $30 or $40 of playroom in there. You might want to hunt, counter. If you are interested in trading this kind of thing, you can always just, throw on your fibs and work offers in reload zones. Like if you want to pull up your BitMEX account and go and look at what the ETH futures are doing. It's actually not a bad risk, right? If you tried to hit those candle body highs, That's 624, 625. The high there, 627. So they risk like $4 or $5. That would be a pretty sick fill in there. And obviously that's entirely up to your trading plan, right? First up, 582, and of course, if she falls out of bed, has to come right back down against the original lows. And there, I think that's a Gann angle. You can see somewhere between 532 and 553. I would imagine, probably we should take a quick boo at that EOS, see what it's looking like. Does anybody know? Did this go well? Did it go poorly? Are they declaring bankruptcy? Are they millionaires? You can see where the double bottom came in here. The fact that the bot long entry is just getting tagged now leads me to believe that there's going to be some back and forth. And actually, here's a really good, it still didn't launch yet. Oh, okay. The jury's still out, eh? Here's a great example. I mean, a couple really good trade ideas here. Can everybody see the trapped bears in this tail right here? Axel, can you see those trapped bears? I want you to look at a chart from now on and see trapped market participants. Because if you can think of trapped market participants, then it makes complete sense why this is resistance up here. Can you, Axel, where are you? Can you see all the trapped bulls up here, right up here, and right up here? Hey, Thomas. Nice to see you, Thomas. Let's see. There's a couple names I haven't seen before. Let's ask the birthday boy, Kevy Poo. Can you see the trapped bears down here? Right? And then also, too, interesting, look how we got a Joby gap here. So this is actually a really interesting story all in this, right? There could be trapped bulls up here. The Joby gap itself will fire on a move through the high here. That's going to be awfully difficult, eh? And you can see how they opened it up. They took it right up into there. They tried to ramp it up, and now they've rolled it over here. More trapped bulls, right? These bulls are that's tough. And it's interesting how the bot level is setting up off of this. So what this literally means is if the market releases these trapped bulls, right, and they get off, right, they're gone, and yet price still wants to surge forward, demand is still strong enough to blast through this level. Does that make sense why that's a buy signal? Right? In fact, in the level 2 program, we say, what does a price chart actually tell you? Does anybody know? Wait, is any of this kind of movement in between this range, is that relevant to any technician? The answer is really no. The only thing that's relevant to us as technicians is this point right here, where basically supply overwhelmed demand. This point right here, where demand overwhelmed supply. This point right here, where supply overwhelmed demand, et cetera, et cetera. That's the only thing that really matters. So this actually becomes an extremely important point. And what a coincidence, it's setting up right off the 25 bot level. I think that's cool. So I don't know how this story is gone, but you can definitely see the battle lines are set. If we finish the day, and who knows what this candle is going to look like at the end of the day, but if we finish this day like this, then literally there's your battle lines. We come through here, right? Then inside bar, all these trap bears, they're going to get their open orders working to buy, guess what? They went long, so they're going to sell, right? Where they went long. So this becomes brick wall of resistance, inside bar. And we probably have to come back down and test whether the market really, because there's a gap right there, right? You can see, this is what I love about Send Script. He makes it so easy. If you were eyeballing that, there's no way you would have seen that there was a gap there. All I have to do is look down and go, oh, yep, there's a gap there. That makes my life so much easier. So anyway, really interesting story here. And also too, our story about what does a price chart tell you, this obviously becomes hugely significant. I think there's a trade window right in this area right here. Do they dip down maybe through Tuesday, Wednesday kill zone? Who knows? Do they dip down and see just explore? Brian loves candle body lows. I wouldn't be surprised if that's RLZ right in there. So you can kind of also see too. Oh, look at that total 78.6. Oh, sick. You can almost see. Does it make sense that this is like a trading range, guys? So quite literally the range, and you can see they kind of established the range on this candle here, right? Where they dumped it off of the highs here. And really we've been in this range now this whole time. Just sort of parked in here. So the range traders, they're just having fun. It wouldn't even surprise me if from here to here is actually a mountain man level. But anyway, leave that for another day. So I don't know, the fundamentals. It's interesting that you say that the main net still hasn't been launched. The jury's still out. I suppose if this persists, then, people who did buy this thinking, okay, this is it, right? There might lose patience and say, oh, fuck it, let's just get out of here. That's still to be determined. And, I do like the idea, one low, two lows. Now we get another low, come in here, put in like a nice bottom through RLZ, and then I can front run the bot. I love doing those. And hopefully we fire through this level, taking a little bit of an extra chance. And now your risk reward, if this scenario plays out, is huge, right? I don't even know where the top is. All the way up there, right? I love those kind of trades. So let's see how this plays out. It's interesting. Jury's still out. I don't think I have a trade here. And if you were like a lower time frame player, you might want to hunt shorts here if this thing fails. Okay, so Brian's just sort of having fun here today. I hope you guys are enjoying my indulgence. Let's see what we got here. A couple of really interesting looking stories. I think they were coming up here. Can you guys see the seasonal bottom coming in here? Do you see how they sort of like are the fluff's been taken out of the market? This is where most people lose interest. Most people look at their account balances, bag holders, right? Oh, fuck, I can't believe it. Oh, fuck it, just sell it. Get me out of here. I've had enough of this shit. These guys are all crooks. And that's the kind of market that I think we're in. And I just go coin by coin by coin by coin. I see that. Now, that doesn't in itself mean that this is a bull market. This, oh, fuck me. This might go on for months, guys. And I think it's really important that we touch on this. This was a very important, significant long-term cycle pivot here. This was huge. You don't have assets go from like $1,000, $2,000 to 20 grand in under 6 months without it being a quote unquote bubble. That's the whole fucking definition of a bubble. I love, crypto moves at light speed. I love how we take the air out of the bubble really damn quick. I love that. But, I'll call a spade, and you guys need to understand this, right? Even the 2013 clean it up. This thing still technically had to go sideways from its bottoming range for, there's April, May, all the way through into like November. That's sort of like best case scenario. Right, we put in a bottom and start rocking and rolling into the fall. 2014 one, right? We ended the year, feeling pretty shitty. So, actually we ended, is that? Oh, interesting. 2013. Well, I guess I didn't realize. I thought, okay, so the point that I'm trying to make here is that in this particular year, we ended the year right on our lows, if I'm not mistaken, and it was a grind. 2014 was a pain in the butt, and actually we had to ultimately make the capitulation low in early 2015. So nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. Let's call a spade a spade. Nobody knows for certain. I do love the idea of hunting setups and, trading your trading plan. Ironically enough, our whole idea, our whole thesis is And let's see if Axel remembers this or not. If, we got a high there, a high there, a high there. It's looking like that's kind of the top end of the range. And then we got a low here, and now we've got lows here. Maybe that's sort of the bottom end of the range. What's the statistical odds that we actually turn here and go up and test the top end of the range? Well, you actually got it right, Axel. The statistical odds of us holding these lows and turning back up here is about 70-80%. So it makes complete sense to me why range traders are going and taking shots off of these lows. That makes complete sense to me. But, it's a trader's life. Could this be that 20-30% where it's still a trending market and it has to go and make new lows? Sure. And you just have to act appropriately if you are hunting long setups here and you're using any kind of leverage or margin. Anything greater than really nanny nibbles, and we break these lows, you better not be married to the position. As Grimm says, right? Strong beliefs, loosely held. So this is a trader's life. You don't know what the fuck's going to happen in the market. Nobody does, right? That's half a reason why we have to plan. Why we have to define how much risk we're going to take on each of these trades. Why we have to define what is the criteria that the market has to show me for me to justify taking this risk, right? And if anything, I think we're in the kind of market, we're in that, I'm from Missouri, right? So let's see, somebody I haven't bugged here today. Maximus. Cool picture, Maximus. Hello, Maximus. If I'm from Missouri, what does that mean? Anyone? Somebody want to help Maximus? Oh, look, Axel answered. Right. Yeah, the state motto of Missouri is the show me state. And somebody the other day was like, well, there's no factual evidence that there's any reason why that's the state motto. And I'm just like, okay, fine, you ruined my whole joke. Anyway, from Missouri, the show me state, I want to see W's. And if anything, I'm a little leery that this is very VE. Notice how beautiful this W was. I mean, textbook W. So sexy W. I mean, that was beautiful. This, pain in the butt. And, kind of like what I said, I wouldn't even mind, hunting RLZ, some sort of test of this low. That would make me happy if we could come down, test these lows, then turn back up. Then I get my W and right on. Yeah. And as Axel says, I mean, what we really want to see for us to actually believe that this thing is a bull again is we want to see those weekly W's, right? So really that means an interesting, what a pretty empire that forms there. You can see that simply means we got to get our butt back above 10 G's and hold these lows, right? So hold these lows back above 10 G's, and then Axel and all his trend following buddies can start participating again. Whew, that was a mouthful. Are you guys getting any value out of this? What do you think, Maximus? Are you even here? Jabba! Hey, Dane, how you doing? I'm having a little apple right now to recharge. How do I okay, let's go maybe look at some of your ideas. I was encouraged to see that the medium-term breadth in altcoins is getting nice and weak again. That's good. I'd like to see that washed out. Hey, there's Sen. Yeah, kind of medium, middle of the road here in the short term. I was sort of scrolling through some names, and like I said, I think we've gone back into, you should check out MCO as well. All right. MCO. Boom. Boom. This is on Binance. Oh, yeah, that's looking good. Ooh, nice. 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 Lots of nices. When you hear Brian use more than 3 nices in one review, that's actually a pretty good sign, eh? Nice, 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 nice. So what do you think, Fjord? Can you see the, and actually this is kind of cool, right? There's the original massive structural bottom. And interesting how that's off of 70.2 of the whole range. Nice divergence here. Look at that beautiful double bottom there in OBV. You just love to see a nice little volume breakout here, right? Give me a nice impetus signal there. That would be sexy. But really on balance, yeah, not bad. And if anything, probably same thing. That's the irony of it all. Can you see how, and this is where Joshua really shines. So we'll go down to like an hourly chart, Stuart, and can you see where we're supposed to be working our gaps or our bids? We're working our gaps. So you can see there is sort of where we can go shopping. There's a gap there that's been filled. That's been filled. That's been filled. Actually, most of these gaps have been filled in, eh? Oh, there's one right there. Look at that. Right there. Almost. So just for kicks, why don't we go through and look at that? Wow, that's right off of that bottom. And my hunch is, I bet you that's right off of Ian's 88.6. So if we want to go work some bids, that's probably where I'd feel comfortable working them. Mr. Sjordinator. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, that's not bad. Boom. Boom. Yeah. What is that? So it's all around 835 up to 840. All up in that area. And then what we should probably do, how do I get out of this? Happy birthday, Lulu. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Schnoobity coo. Hey, Kevin, you want to PM me on the site here? And I'll give you that link. Are you still here? Yeah, there he is. If you could just PM me, I'll give you that link. Okay, where was I? Once upon a time in a land far, far away. Put you there. What was I going to show you? Oh, yeah. Let's go. Guess we can go here. Go there. Okay, so what was this? This was MCO. MCO. Oops, not under US dollars. Oh, is that you? Hey, there you are. Here you go, Slick. Boom. Merry Christmas. Oh, happy birthday. Okay, where was I? We were looking at that. There. Yes. So it's not under here. It is under here. There we go. Okay. Let's go down to the order book. Okay. And I used to, oh yeah, here we go. All right, so let's see. What was our number that we wanted to concentrate on? Does anybody remember? What number was that? This one? We wanted to concentrate on 857. Oh, well, okay. Well, 857 down to 835. So, how the hell does this work? Am I looking at the wrong numbers? 10,000, 9,000. Must be looking at the wrong thing here. What am I doing wrong? I'll put you over here. So right now she is 947 MC. Oh, this is Binance. Uh-oh. Well, I suppose we can look at it on Binance, but I don't think I'm logged in on Binance. Let's see if it has it here. MCO. Actually, I think I would prefer to look at it on Trex. Trex. There we go. Yeah, there we are. Ah, yeah, lots. Oh, there's that gap again. Look at that, eh? All right, so we'll go there. Looks like there's also some gappy gaps in here. Might be some gap action in there. Okay, so we'll go like that, and we'll go like that, and we'll go like that. So there's those. Ah, okay, so it is 85,000. I was like, what the hell? Okay, so 83,732. So let's see what we got there. Okay, these numbers make no sense to me. What am I doing wrong here, I wonder? 90. Maybe that's just too far down the order book. Sorry, I'm wasting everybody's time. Sorry about that. Let's go like that. All right. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to look for the big fat sort of whales, right? Where are they? Looks like there's a big whale there at 86,000. So where did we say the price was? 88, 85, 86. Ah, okay. So does it make sense, guys? There's somebody defending sort of that level right in there, 78.6. That make sense? Are you with me? Give me some feedback. I think we could work our bids. It looks like there's a cheeky little gap right down in here. 84 all the way down to 83.7. So 84 all the way down to 83.7. Ah, look how thin the order book is here. So you can see some pretty substantial support at 81. But notice like this 0.81, 0.80, 0.79, 0.60. These are actually the levels that you want to keep an eye on. Why would anybody want to buy 0.0007 of a Bitcoin of this? It seems kind of pointless, right? So these are actually sort of like, you know, they're like unfinished business of previous moves. There's another one there, 85, or excuse me, 58 at 8,600. And notice, right, there's that big dick. So think of it this way, and actually it kind of makes sense that we're going to see some serious support because that's like the 78.6, right? 241, 8,600. I think that's what we said. 8,600, yeah. So there's some big guy here that's supporting, but think of it this way. Let's say, you know, rage quit, right? I want to get out. I want to get out. Does it make sense that a seller is going to dump into his buy order? But once he's filled, and then we get on the other side of that order, you see how there's just not that much. Now, he might, you know, this is only a difference of what, 500 sats, okay? So he might slam down into here too, right? That's going beyond the 88.6. But notice how there's a big chasm here from 8,500, right? All the way down to 8,100. There's like a hole here. So what ends up happening is, and my hunch is that anybody that's a motivated seller, they're going to sell into these levels. They're going to want to hit these orders, right? That generates business. But once we get down into here, what ends up happening is that price ends up stalling out. Because you think about it, right? All these orders are cleared out. Now the guy's looking at the order book and he's going, well, I could sell some more, but I have to take like a 4,000 or whatever, 3,000 sat punishment to FOMO dump more. And so quite often what ends up happening is as we slam into this very low area of interest and make sure that it corresponds with your fibs and gaps and stuff, this is usually where price stops going down and you just get some fucking kick-ass fills. So what you want to do is, number one, draw up your levels on your charts, right? I highly recommend that you go find your gap script, see if you can correspond with gaps and structural levels, then pop on over to the order book. And in essence, I always like the idea of sprinkling orders anyway, but I would have no problem, sprinkling a little bit, around this 0.57, some motivated sellers dumping into these levels. So he gets his sell fill off. You get your buy fill, maybe another little sprinkle in between these guys right around this 0.58. And then, like I said, another little, sort of bid down below. And really the way I would do is I would pull up the order book and I would just say, okay, where is the smallest number? All right, I want to, just sort of snuggle myself around this, sort of maybe go 85.02 or something. And that's probably what this guy's order is he expects some guy to panic dump, slam into this 150, and he's hoping that the market comes down into this 0.6, gives him some fills at 85, but then it just doesn't go any further because there just isn't that much left on the order book to sell. Does that make sense? If you can think about markets that way, it totally changes the way you do business. Think of this as inventory, right? And think of as motivated sellers, what do they have to do to get more dollars in their account and less coins in their account, right? And it means quite literally hunting for size to get filled. Okay, I just wanted to give you a quick little tut on that. I don't think I've talked too much about that with that's more of like a level 3 kind of thing. But anyway, having some fun here today. Not a bad idea, Stuart. And hell, I think we've given you some levels to get in there and work some bids. All right. Does anybody remember what we last left off looking at here? I think I remember looking at salt. I didn't think it was too bad. And my hunch is, as we sort of go through these names, I think I'm just going to be like, yeah, well, yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, well, that's not bad. Yeah, well, that's not bad. We're definitely in that kind of environment again, which is encouraging. It's a pain in the butt having to go through a bear. So, here's actually a really cool example. You can see the divergence on MACD. Beautiful. See, Willie's nice and stupid. This is, it's almost like the whole damn crypto market did this sort of railroad tracks reversal. I really don't like this trade. And of course, trap bears, you can see them all trapped right there. If I was trading this, and really you can, wow, you can really see it on the zoomed in hourly chart. You're going to be working bids. I think you probably want to try and target into these tails, right? I don't think we've got enough anecdotal evidence to call the bottom, but definitely constructive. And, I've sort of said this a lot lately. I believe that you can probably, we go through about this like maybe 2, maybe 3 times a year where, they've literally taken, in this case, we even had a little bit of a seasonal rally there in April, right? And they've taken all of that right back, punished the public. We're back into that environment where, odds are, if you grab like 20 random names and just put less than 5% of your portfolio into them, you're probably going to make money. Your account will be on balance higher in a few months. I think we're back in that kind of environment again, which is good. Most of the nutso risk, I think, is taken out of price now. So that was sold. I think we looked at those. KMD. I remember KMD. I got a whack of this from the original bottom way back when. What's it doing these days? Kind of going sideways here. For whatever it's worth, I think TRI is long off of this area in here. In fact, I think we even got some off of this W right here. Selling the whole way up. I think we did a bit of buying back off of these lows. I can't remember exactly. Maybe on the new site, Stuart, I'll be able to type up the symbol and it give us sort of like our whole history of what we've done on the thing, eh? Wouldn't that be cool? You can see a cute little bottom in momentum is trying to come in here. Might even get a nice little dabo. We got daily. Yeah, look at that. Nice W and OBV. W is trying to come in, but you can see volume is, it's just not there. You'd love to see, come on, buyers, step up and do some buying. They broke this thing's lows from back in May there, but they didn't break these lows. Interesting. Look at those tails. So again, Brian and his crazy candle body lows, that really looks like an awesome trade location. It makes sense why the market turned off of that level there. So this is just like yet another one of these. There's so many of them right now, basically at the bottom end of the range. If you believe in the fundamental story, if there is any sort of fundamental drivers, then you ought to see some rock and roll. If we can W here and get out of this area, especially if we can get up through the top here, then the bull's back, and that would be a nice weekly W, eh? And you see how if that W is there on the weeklies, all right? Same sort of thing what we talked about Bitcoin earlier. Show us a nice big fat W and rock and roll. It's not a bad idea, right? I mean, you're definitely not chasing fluff, and I always like that. If you want to trade this, just buying against the lows, and we break these tail lows and just walk away, so be it. You want a nanny nibble? It's not a terrible place to do a bit of nibbling. All right. What's next? XSPEC on Cryptopia. Uh-oh. What was that again? XSPEC. XSPEC. Cryptopia. Oh boy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So here's your original bottom. I always think it's a good idea to check out these higher time frame charts. Don't just look at an hourly chart and call bottoms. You can see a really cool little example of railroad tracks there. Nice rally off of those lows. Did that produce a double? That was 44.84, and we got as high as 83. Oh, not quite, cocksuckers. So, it's probably some broken hearts there. We got into this wick, we talk about this trap bulls, right? There are a whole bunch of trap bulls up there. Market rallies into that area, and all those trap bulls go, get me out, get me out, get me out. So we've come right back down against the lows. The problem with these things now is Cryptopia going to be doing what Trex was doing to us. So we got to be cognizant of that stuff. Could this thing be delisted? If we look at the internals, we are definitely stupidly oversold, so probably too late to be a seller. Obviously, I want to be a seller up here. And nothing really to suggest that the bulls have come back in earnest. You do have now a price momentum divergence building, but you're going to have to get that thing to get up through the W here, and you can see it's kind of emming out right now on the MACD. So momentum had the opportunity to put in a bull div. You can even see they tried like the Dickens, and they failed. So price momentum wise, that's not so good. So it's going to be a tough slog, no doubt about it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you don't have any of it and you're like, well, I really like the fundamental story, I'd like to buy against the low end of the range. Well, definitely You can see here at 3,600, all you got to do is get a rally up to 7,000 or so, somewhere in that area there, and you get a free position. Is that realistic given this coin's history? I mean, hell, we can just say you're going to go in here and buy it right now today. Boom. Right? Is it realistic to look for, anywhere up in that area there? I think so. So, if you want to nibble, you can take a shot and get a nice little double. You can see there's lots of volatility. The question ultimately here is, does this thing pass the Cryptopia Inquisition now? And, is it vulnerable? Are you ready to move your coins to live if it doesn't? So, Nanny Nibbles, I'll give it the thumbs up. Pound the table, got to load up. This thing's a momentum buy. No, I don't see it here yet. All right. And of course, the fundamental story, I have no idea. So do your fundamental due diligence and try and trade within your plan. RBY. Let's see what Ruby's doing. Ruby! Whoa, Ruby's not happy. Don't look like he's right at the bottom. Yeah. And, here's the problem. We were looking at a coin earlier, right, that was coming against lows. And I was like, well, if it comes against the lows, you can take your shot, right, buying against these lows. And, I think it's definitely a trade that's there. But, if we lose these lows in earnest, right, you can see where the bottom is. It's a long way down. So caveat emptor, fundamentally, why are you stepping into this thing? It's got a bit of risk, but you really want to see some half decent reason, some sort of fundamental that's driving your investment decision. I think on balance, I would just want to just leave this thing alone. You could take a nibble off of here, maybe like 1% of your portfolio kind of stuff, but don't be surprised if you have to come in, later on and do a little bit of nibbling against the ultimate lows. And keep in mind, just for whatever it's worth, TRI, we're long from like right here. So this is kind of like another Verge. If they have to completely unwind this story, right, we're talking right now about you stepping in and taking a shot here, but understand that I'm long from 588. So we're sitting at 5,000. Could we dump back down 10x lower? Sure, that could happen. Wouldn't shock me whatsoever. So, this is the vulgarities of trading venture capital, guys. You got to get used to it. Nothing's written in stone in this space. Ideally for us to know that this bottom is in, as you can see, they totally set the trade up here about, a few months ago. Came right down against previous lows, put in this nice little W, and, you're sort of, okay, coast is clear, everything's fine, buy signal. It's like right on this bar right here. So the fact that they're bringing it right against these lows, at the very least, I think I'd like for you to just see whether these lows hold themselves. If they don't, then we got to see whether these lows hold. And if they don't, then let's start carving out some bigger and bigger M's. Tough one. Not going to say it's easy, that's for sure. And I don't even know what the fundamental reason to own Ruby now would be. What does it say? BitterX, this one, please. I saw a not closed gap around 1,700 sats. Is that active? Well, could be. Like I said, I'm long from, 600 sats. So there's unfinished business down below. That wouldn't shock me. Anywhere along here, are there any gaps? We always say look left, right? Looks like there's a gap right here. Oh, yeah, right there, right? Oh, God, I love this script of sense. It makes your life so easy. So you can see right there, boink. So that's 2,000. And then you also see another one, I guess, right here. on one of these. So that's probably your 1700 one that you're talking about. Where is that? Guess that's right there, eh? Oh, there it is. So on a daily basis, you can see price gaps that need to be filled in. So that's totally realistic. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. All right. Damn, have to go out. Watch the rest later. Thanks in advance. Okay. ARC, BTC. Why don't we do one more, and then I got to start going and getting ready for Liam. ARC. Boom. Yeah. Nothing to write home about. I mean, at least it's good to see higher highs and higher lows here. That's encouraging. And we might even have a nice Lien setup here, LJ setup. All right, so we go boom, boom, something like that. So first structural signal on the other side of this, rock and roll. If we probably did this trend line here, in fact, here, why don't we go? There we go. So we broke above. Really wild action here. No real clotheslines. Really messy. Yeah. The interesting thing is this is where the range guys just love this shit. Look at that, eh? So you can see there's a double bottom down here. There's Ian at his 88.6, and notice there's a gap right there as well. Doesn't look like he got filled though, eh? They left him behind. There's 78.6 Kavarkanator, right? I do a lot of my orders off 78.6. Look, there's a gap right there as well. So I think that's what that move there is. You could play this trading range. Can't quite get doubles out of this range though. You want to take your shot against the bottom end of the range? That's not a terrible idea. Cool part about it too is you're actually buying the original double bottom here. So that's right there. Let's see where that lines up. All right, so that's right there. So isn't that a cool? Look how they set up this, basically this railroad tracks reversal right off that level. So obviously that's an important level to the market right there. So you wanted to be long off of this weekly W, it's fine by me. Momentum, pound the table, you got to load up. Nah, I don't see anything like that right now. But not a bad idea. And then, of course, you should probably check out the fundamentals. Do they have anything that's sort of driving the story here going forward? That's what will cause price to rally. Okay. Actually, Rocker is funny. There's a guy on the site who absolutely loves gaps. And he found a he found a study that they did on price gaps, and it turns out it's something like 91.4. It's a really, really high percentage. So just Google that. How often do gaps get filled? And go have some fun reading up on that. But it's pretty high percentage, Rocker. Okay, so Kevin says, can you play 5 seconds from a song if I send you the link real quick? It is about crypto, LOL. Well, we have to be careful. That was my video on YouTube. If you play other people's videos because this is being recorded, YouTube can kill the video, Kevin, so I'm reluctant. But you can always PM me it, and you can always post in the lounge too, eh? Okay, why don't we leave it at that for today? Have a happy birthday, dude. You definitely have a big fan in that girl, and I think you ought to give her a big smooch the next time you see her. All right, why don't we leave that at that for today? I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. And good luck to all the level oneers. Hopefully the conversations at the beginning of today's video kind of help you understand those long-term demographics a little better. Okay, guys, all the best and bye for now.